Media has quickly become one of the most powerful entities in the modern world. It is used to gather and transmit information, market products and services, and cover some of the nation's most violent occurrences, including school shootings. One way this is all done is through framing. But what exactly is framing? According to Merriam-Webster Dictionary, one of the many definitions of the word is to produce something written or spoken, or express a word, answer, etc. in words.
Media framing, as discussed in Beckett in The Politics of Injustice, is done two ways: episodically, focused on a single, specific event or issue at hand, and thematically, in terms of causes and possible remedies. In an example she discusses about episodic framing, she mentions that a characteristic of it is highlighting the pathology of the individual perpetrators and not placing the specific issue in a larger context.
While researching how the media covers school shootings, sociologists Glenn W. Musher and Don Carr created a five-pronged method to analyze articles covering 9 different shootings. This method included determining whether articles discussed the specific shooting in terms of either individual, when the article focused on the individual participants such as the shooters and the victims; community, when the article focused on the community in which the shootings occurred; regional, when the article focused on the metropolitan area or state in which the shooting occurred; society, when the article focused on the national impact, concern, or discussion of the shooting; and/or international, when the article focused on the international impact, concern, or discussion of the incident.
Keeping in mind what Beckett said about episodic versus thematic framing, we know that 1, 2, and 3 can be considered characteristics of episodic framing, and 4 and 5 would therefore be thematic.
It is 3 o'clock here on the East Coast. If you are just joining us, 1 o'clock in Littleton, Colorado, where there has been a school shooting about 2 hours ago. 2 young men apparently dressed in long black trench coats opened fire in a school shooting, what we believe to be up to 8 people.
The Columbine High School shootings of 1999 were one of the most deadly shootings in recent history and subsequently gained an extensive amount of media coverage framed in various ways. An MSNBC report of the shooting as breaking news itself is an indicator of episodic framing. Here the story is being reported at a surface level. 2 young men, apparently dressed in long black trench coats, and 8 people believed to be shot, with diagrams of the location immediately following. There's a focus on the shooter and the general region in which the shooting occurred. In doing further research, I used the LexisNexis database, searching the key term Columbine High School shootings in order to find 10 original news reports from 10 different American publications published in the days immediately following the shooting. Through analyzing the content from the first 10 different U.S. reports that were listed, I found that 7 of them appeared to be episodic, while only 3 focused on thematic issues. Articles from major publications like the Washington Post, the Denver Post, St. Louis Post-Dispatch, and the New York Daily News were all similar to this news report. They focused entirely on aspects of the shooting like the school and the shooters, 1, the victims and fatalities, 1, the community, 2, the Colorado region in which the shooting occurred, 3, and the timeline of events. The focus on the specifics of this one incident leaves no room for broader public discourse. It leaves no room for political and social institutions to take responsibility, which is essential in stopping more incidents like this from occurring, or at least understanding why they do occur. On the other hand, the only 3 articles that cover the shooting in the context of its societal implications, 4, were from the Philadelphia Inquirer, the St. Petersburg Times, and USA Today. Those articles all discussed past shootings, youth violence, the debate over whether harsher punishments for juveniles should be imposed, gun culture, the public at large, and better school safety.
The Virginia Tech shooting was a school shooting that took place on April 6, 2007. It was on the campus of Virginia Polytech Institute and State University in Blacksburg, Virginia. Sung Hui Chao was a senior at the university and had shot and killed 32 people and had wounded 17 others in 2 different attacks that were at least 2 hours apart before he killed himself. The massacre had been the deadliest shooting by a single gunman in all U.S. history. It had been the worst act of mass murder on college students since Syracuse University had lost 35 students to the bombing Pan Am Flight 103. After looking at all 10 articles, I have noticed that the following shootings that that 5 articles show episodic while the other 5 articles show signs of thematic claims. Articles about the Virginia shooting, such as 33 killed in Virginia Tech shooting rampage, text of emails sent to staff students by Virginia Tech, mass murder by lone gunman at Virginia Tech reports shooting, and Virginia government invokes tech slangs, offered prayers for all fixated on the outlook of the shooting on campus and what was going on that day. They described the shooter and how many he killed and injured. 1. The campus in which it took place. 3. The families of the victims. 1. What area the school was in. 3. The governor paid his respects to the families of the victims. Meanwhile, the other 5 articles represent 4 and 5. They mention the president talking about the shooting. 5. How politicians are going to support the ones involved in the shooting. 4. Concern for the families, staff, and victims. 4. The FBI stepping in to help with the investigation. 5. A judge was involved about giving money to families that were affected by the shooting. 4. And the survivors complaining to the Congress to stop gun violence and debating. 5.
The media devotes more time and coverage to crime than any other topic, which estimates around 30% of all news. Of the countless crimes committed and or reported, the media has a tendency to focus on the rare sides of crime, like murder as expressed in the Chardon shooting. Yet another example of media framing, as explained by Beckett in The Politics of Injustice, can be found in the more recent shooting at Chardon High School. On February 27, 2012, a student opened fire in the cafeteria of Chardon High, injuring and killing multiple people. A report that was aired and published on February 28 by ABC News focuses on the victims of the shooting.
One American town, Chardon, Ohio, is searching for meaning today, learning more about the high school student who opened fire in the school cafeteria. And ABC's Rena Ninan is back on the story again for us, again tonight.
Desperate 911 calls from a school under siege.
Hi, Chardon High School, we had shots fired, gunshots, multiple gunshots. 911.
Chardon High School, we need police up here. There's someone in the building with a gun.
Yeah.
Today, police announced that 2 more students shot in the school have died.
The report included multiple 911 calls and responses in the shooting, in which the terror and panic could be heard in the voices of the bystanders. This use of episodic framing by the media leaves the public and viewers feeling sympathetic for the victims. According to both Beckett and sociologists Glenn Musher and Don Carr's ideologies, coverage of the Chardon High School shooting falls victim to the media's framing, which focuses on the individual and regional aspects of the story, while other reports mention and include the community aspects as well. Overall, this was one of the many reports about the Chardon High School shooting that was episodically framed by the media. There is a report that was published by 2 separate newspapers, all having the same words and therefore the same information and use of framing. Both articles are entitled, "One Student Killed, 4 Injured in Shooting at Ohio School, Suspect in Custody." The San Jose Mercury News of California and the Contra Costa Times of California, both of which were published on February 27, 2012, discusses the results of the shooting. These articles have no mention of the suspect besides the fact that the suspect is a student that officials are not naming until charges are filed. At this time, there are several other reports of the shooting and the suspect, TJ Lane, but these articles do not contain that information. It is because of media framing. The reporters of these articles could have simply waited until more details were released than to write the report, or do a continuation of the story. But neither did such. According to Glenn Musher and Don Carr's method of article analysis, these articles are a result of individual framing, of which there is a great focus on the individual participants, such as the victims. A more recent report, published on March 20th, 2013, made by CNN, is entitled Ohio Shooter Shows Contempt, No Remorse During Sentencing. Its title leaves the readers to assume that the article would be about the remorselessness of T.J. Lane. Though the first few paragraphs of the article discusses the actions of T.J. Lane on the day of the shooting and his sentencing, the rest of the article focuses on individuals like Demetrius Hewin, who were victims of the shooting. The majority of the article includes quotations from the victims' parents and family. The quotes used indicate their pain and confusion. Quotes like, "In our humanity, we still cannot understand why his life was taken in such a violent manner." Some were angry at Lane, saying that he was a weak, pathetic, vile coward. The use of these quotes are also indications of individual framing by the media.
Taking all of this into consideration, it is clear that media framing does exist and has for a very long time. Whether intentional or not, we know that it does exist and it has for a very long time. Framing will always be either episodic or thematic, and there are hardly any exceptions.
While it is important that the media tackle incidents such as school shootings in terms of societal significance rather than as isolated incidents, it is also important that the public takes note of what information is being relayed and what we can do to initiate national conversation in order to bring about positive change.